Hello and welcome to Piano Shack with me, Woody. Now, I've noticed a theme in the comments that some of you think that the Genos 2 here sounds cheesy. And I think you may be missing the point, or at least that's an interesting topic for debate. So let's get into it now. And yes, we will be eating some cheese. My favourite is cheddar, hard to get here in Sweden. However, this thing, such a good invention. You only see these things in Scandinavia. Sorry, apologies for talking with my mouth full. Love a bit of cheese. Okay, sorry. Okay, I guess we need to define cheesy, sometimes spelt with a Z, a Z, cheesy. What does that mean in terms of sounds? Well, perhaps it sounds a little bit cliched, stereotypical, corny, perhaps, dated, not particularly fresh. Elevator music was thrown at me a couple of times in the comments as well. But hear me out, that sounds pretty bad, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think there's another side to this argument as well. And I know this is coming from a guy with a Hawaiian shirt, horrendous jeans and shaggy hair, but I've got some really strong opinions about this. Why then does this sound cheesy to many of you that are watching my videos? I think there are a few reasons for that. Let's get into it. Firstly, this has styles that emulate the sound of an entire band. Many of the people watching my videos are musicians. That's an important thing to keep in mind. And perhaps we play guitar, we play saxophone, drums or whatever, and everything on here is synthetic, or it's samples. And it's MIDI based. And to us real musicians, maybe that doesn't sound all that authentic. That's one reason. Another thing is the selection and choice of styles on here. Although there are some modern, fairly contemporary styles, not quite, but they are doing a pretty good job. We do have an awful lot of oldies, entertainer and ballroom styles as well. So a lot of the musical themes on a keyboard like this may not be up your street. And another aspect that perhaps makes these things come across as a little bit cheesy is the way people tend to perform on them. I've seen a lot of ladies and gents playing instrumental covers where they'll, instead of singing the melody, play it on the keyboard using like a soprano saxophone sound or an acoustic guitar or a trumpet or something. And that sometimes can sound a bit strange. It's just powered off. Let's switch it back on. But yeah, that's got a certain sound to it, which isn't really up my street. But to be honest, it's actually quite a lot of fun to perform like that. And finally, I guess we also need to address the demographics. The users of these keyboards typically tend to be even older than I am. A lot of seniors and OAPs enjoy playing on these instruments, and perhaps they have a repertoire that is also somewhat older and sounds a little bit more dated and perhaps cheesy than the songs people younger than me like to listen to. And I think a lot of this goes back to the UK as well. The UK had a huge home organ scene, and these arrangers are also popular in the UK. People used to gather the family around the home organ back in the 80s and the 90s and perform standards for the family after dinner. And that's a tradition that's carried on. And you see a lot of Genos owners doing similar things with their instruments. And by the way, I have nothing against that. I actually quite love it, but it might help to give the impression that they sound a bit cheesy, corny, perhaps. I must confess, I am picking the most cheesy tunes for these demos, but of course, you don't have to. Actually, my grandfather's favourite song. He used to love it when I played that one for him, so shout out to him. I think we need to address who exactly finds the sound of these cheesy. And I gave a hint at the beginning of the video. It's people that watch my videos that think this sounds cheesy. And who are those kinds of people? Typically, it's musicians. So us musicians have very sensitive ears to what sounds hip and what doesn't sound hip, and perhaps that's why some of us, and I think it's only a minority, many of the people watching my videos absolutely love the sound of this as well, but a lot of you do think it sounds cheesy. What was my point? Yes, and I get where you're coming from. I understand the critique, but there is another side to this that you may be overlooking. Why am I talking like this? Okay, we musicians are in the minority, remember. The people we're performing to are often non-musicians, the general public. And let me tell you, bombshell, they absolutely love the sound of the Genos 2 and other instruments in the same class. That's right, I've demonstrated many synthesizers for my family and friends here in the house. Me twiddling on the hydrosynth and doing a filter sweep might entertain them for 1.5 minutes. But if I get an instrument like this out and start fiddling around, playing the styles, playing songs and melodies, yes, I've had the family gathered around this for hours, hanging on every note that I play, really enjoying singing along, tapping their feet, and just enjoying the music and having a good time. And yes, that's what it's all about, I think. I've seen these things in hotel bars in the Mediterranean. The dance floor is packed full of people having a great time, dancing along to the sounds and the accompaniments of these arranger keyboards. It's amazing. Yeah, in the States perhaps you maybe see these in casino lobbies or in the lounges of cruise ships, and they always go down really well. People that aren't musicians, which is the majority of the people that actually get to hear these when you're performing, they love the sound of them. They love it. And that, I think, brings us on to a wider and somewhat more deep topic. Why do we play music? Is it for our own enjoyment or for the enjoyment of our audience? Now, obviously, this is a personal thing. It's different for all of us, I suppose. But let's have a quick chat about it. I'm not sure if I made my point very well, but the majority of people watching my videos are musicians. The majority of the general public are non-musicians. Keep that in mind. Like this with an open mind. Just have fun and embrace the cheese. Well, speaking for myself, I get a lot of enjoyment from sitting by myself, playing, practicing. I find it very satisfying and rewarding. But there is always an end goal in mind, and that is to eventually perform these pieces that I'm practicing or arranging or producing, some songs perhaps. My end goal is to perform them for an audience, perhaps here on the channel, or to upload them to Bandcamp, SoundCloud, maybe burn a CD and send it to my mum as a Christmas present. You know, that kind of thing. There's always an end goal to perform my music to an audience. And I think that applies to many of us. I think that's fair to say that we all enjoy uploading our music now to the internet or publishing it to get some kind of positive feedback from our audience. And I'm pretty sure that that applies to many other creative art forms as well. If you're writing a book, you want other people to read it. If you're painting a picture, you'd like other people to enjoy the picture as well, and so on and so on. I wouldn't spend all this time making videos and uploading them to YouTube if nobody would watch them, although probably nobody will watch this video. So I guess what I'm saying, if you want to make music that has a broad appeal to a large audience, get yourself a Genos too. Actually, I'm not saying that, but the Arranger keyboards certainly do have a mass broad appeal with the general public. And another thing to consider, non-musicians don't give a toss which type of keyboard you used or which brand it was to make a musical performance. They only care about the end result, if it makes them feel happy or sad or any kind of emotion, or if it makes them get up and dance. We recently had some builders make this fantastic house, and I don't give a damn which kind of hammer they have or which brand of cordless drill they used. It's all about the end result. Perhaps another builder might be interested in what kind of power tools it was, but not me, the consumer. I know this is going to be controversial, and I don't really want to disrespect anybody here, but our job as performing musicians is to give the audience what they want. And if I was to drag down one of my more professional synthesizers and just plink and plonk around on that and do some filter sweeps or just play something without any accompaniment, well, with my level of talents anyway, that's not going to really be much of a crowd pleaser. The point I'm trying to make in summary to you and I, fellow musicians, yes, I'm not going to lie, that thing does sometimes sound a bit cheesy, but to non-musicians, who are probably the majority of our audiences, it sounds just fine. Okay, I know this is going to be controversial and stir up some emotions in the viewers of this video, which I suppose is a good thing. Do let me know in the comments if you think I'm totally out of order, or if you see where I'm coming from. In summary then, if you want to perform for other people, perhaps friends and family, and have them really enjoy what you do, then the Genos, or other keyboards like it, is the right tool for the job. Somewhat controversial, can't wait to read the comments. Until then, I'll have a little bit of cheese. I'll see you next time. Cheerio.